the original.
Interesting. I don't know that I've ever actually listened to the lyrics of that song. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, we are.
Dungeons and Dragons.
I am Christiana Ellis, and I am the Dungeon Master, and I am going to turn the ambience volume down just a little bit. Here we go. As mentioned, I'm Christiana Ellis, the Dungeon Master. Our players tonight, Chooch Schubert as Autarky,
Hello, hello.
Starla Hutchton as Nirakina Ethu,
Greetings and salutations.
Jenny Meltzer as Cadence of the Water,
Hello.
James Meltzer as Ket of the Sands,
Hi.
Mark Kilfoyle as Alaric Copperbeard,
I expect nothing to be normal.
and Vivid Muse as Amethyst.
Hey, y'all.
So, last time, some things happened. Some stuff was said. Some wishes were made. You had been in the abyss, there to try to retrieve the heart of the caretaker, this strange individual that you had only known from the stories after the fact, and attempting to reassemble the seemingly artificial but somehow alive parts of this ancient entity in order to have him help you save the world tree and stabilize the multiverse and all sorts of other things going on, but it was not going well. You had ended up kind of stuck at the bottom of a well with countless demons pouring down in after you, powerful magic being sent your way. It wasn't looking good. And in that moment of despair, Ket summoned powerful magic within him and expressed his heart's desire that the stolen moment go back to where it came from, so all this could be over. Only to realize, as he floated in a void, that part of the expression of that wish resulted in the entirety of the multiverse being placed within the stolen moment.
Oops.
But there was some good news, or at least news. The entities known as the Caretaker and Grandmother Praxis explained that, in a way, you had ended the multiverse in the sense that it was kind of stuck in a permanent stasis. But you had, in doing so, sealed it away from the forces of pure law and the forces of pure chaos that had been threatening to destroy it in their constant tug of war. Which, ultimately, was what Grandmother Praxis and the Caretaker had sought all along. You just did it in a way they didn't expect. But now that it is safe from those forces, it still needs order and chaos in order to animate it out of its permanent stasis. And you, the heroes of legend collectively, have been given the job. So you all found yourselves in a dining hall with elven themes, vaguely familiar to Nira, with keys, golden keys, sitting on a platter with a note that says, "Congratulations, you're gods." Also, now you're all level 20. What would you like to do?
I will pass the note around. Anybody have some thoughts?
Is this some kind of test? Did the thing get inside our heads after all? We're still stuck in that well. It's got to be it.
Remember that time I pinched you? I will do it again.
That doesn't prove anything.
I just kind of like shared a Nicolas Cage in Moonlighting slap Alaric. Snap out of it!
Snap out of what?
Look, man. We're gods, see?
Yeah, right. I'm no god, and neither are you. You might have a god complex. but
Try and
that's
do
about it.
something that the god would do. Try and snap your fingers for a cup of ale or something.
No, I'm not falling for that again.
Come on. I'll give you a cup of ale if you do.
It's not even.
Well, I mean,
I'm gonna-
then it wouldn't really. No.
Shh. Archie, ruin it.
Amethyst turns into a panda bear.
See,
That
she's a
happens.
The
god.
keys and examine it.
You take one of the keys, you said? You are still a little bit quiet, Starla. But you take one of the keys. It is very exquisitely crafted. In fact, more so on close examination than you even realized. That at superficial glance, it seems to be a fancy, polished golden key. But you see when you examine it that the detail of the filigree and in fact the shape of the the sort of the key part, the tumblers, I don't know what you actually call that part of the key. The
teeth.
encoded part, the teeth. You realize that there does not, as far as you can detect, seem to be any point at which it smooths out. It's like a fractal. And same with the sort of filigree. It seems to have, if not an infinite ability of detail, it's at least as detailed as you can tell, such as to make it indistinguishable from infinite. But it is about 4 inches long. Weighs what it would weigh to be gold.
I want to look at it with that magnifying glass.
Okay.
Hopefully it doesn't break.
It doesn't break, but you feel like what you get is that it's you get a general sense that it's for starting and stopping something, but everything else just feels like you're reading like source code of magic.
You're seeing the Matrix.
Yeah.
That's a lot of zeros and ones on there.
All right. Well, if we, for the moment, assume this is real, we still should check in to see how people are doing.
But where are we right now?
That would also be good to figure out.
Yeah.
And
Why
also,
Where in the
like,
world?
guys, I don't know. Do we remember what happened? Like, do I remember being stupid?
I think so, yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, I feel like you recognize now. I would imagine it's a little bit like remembering when you were really drunk. You know what I mean? Like it's a little fuzzy because you didn't really have any coherent thoughts that you can now have memories of. But you remember being really scared and confused and you didn't know what to do. And you understand now that you were under a magical influence.
Yeah, also, like, I have a really big, like, my head hurts in a weird way that it's never hurt before.
Are you ill?
I don't know. I just, my head feels really weird and just not,
Well,
like, I'm tired and...
On that note...
let me see if I can see something on here.
Yeah, so go ahead and resolve that. But, Ket, you realize as you're sort of settling in, the shock of being in this new place is starting to wear off. You are realizing that you feel very weak.
Mm-hmm.
And to be clear, this is the mechanical effects of the wish spell. When, as described in the last paragraph, the stress of using the spell to produce any effect other than duplicating another spell Each time you cast a spell until you finish a long rest, you're going to take 1d10 necrotic damage per level of the spell.
Mm-hmm.
And your strength is currently 3.
Yes.
Oof.
And that is going to be, go ahead and roll 2d4.
2d4? Okay. So that is going to last for 5 days.
Okay. And now roll a 1d6.
That's right. 5.
So, you feel this weakness and you're having a hard time recovering, but the knowledge of the wish spell has not been burned from your memory.
Right.
It feels very sort of like, to the extent that part of your own memory could be bruised. That's what it feels like. You feel like the more you think about it, it threatens to give you a headache if you try to focus on it. But
yeah, I just kind of sit at the table and just kind of like put my key off to the side for a bit and just kind of just like put my head down,
Right.
you know.
So, but Cadence, our Otterkey is examining you.
Yeah, I'll approach her and just say, do you mind if I
Yeah, you can, whatever.
I'll just kind of do it kind of like a shoulder massage. And part of the lay on hands is I can expend 5 of the points
Okay.
to like cure a disease or neutralize a poison. And so I have that kind of thing, and then I also have the cleansing touch, which is remove spells. And since I don't know what's going on, I'm just going to try both and just see if something makes her feel better.
I mean, I don't know that it would. I think it's just like the after effects of like having that weird like crud inside your brain
Yeah.
more than anything. So,
Yeah.
but like she'll humor you and be like, that was really nice. Archie. Thank you very much.
Are you still thinking about the poisoned effect, Cadence? Is that what you were?
I don't think I was poisoned.
Well, I mean, you have it currently on your character sheet, but I was just trying to understand if there was a mechanical something that you were talking about.
Just that I'm like that. This has been crazy. And
Oh, sure. I'm
trying to say like we need a rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
We need to take a nap.
yeah. So I would say all of you have had the equivalent of a long rest, like you're full up on hit points, spell slots, all that good stuff.
Okay.
Ooh.
Are there any windows around?
I think no, not in this room. You are in what is clearly intended to be sort of like a private dining area.
Does anybody know where we are? We should probably figure that out before we do anything more.
Yeah.
I just kind of raised my hand. I know.
What's
Yeah.
wrong with you?
We're at Nira's place.
Wait, what?
Nira's place.
Well, we're at Nira's home.
Is this Mount Roshama?
I think so. I guess so. I've never actually seen Mount Roshama, but I know that's where we are.
Is that true, Nirakina? Is this...
Yeah. I've only been under it.
I've only seen it from a distance. I wasn't looking so good.
So, short break. Christiana, did you get my email?
I did. I don't know if you're wanting reference some specific part of it right now.
Well, it was the first thing on there.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me.
Yeah, what Nira had given up to the dragon was memories of her family, like very specifically the people.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah. So I think. Yeah. So like feeling like you recognize the place, but just. So I guess.
Yeah, I'm trying to just figure out like how I should be reacting, like if like that would.
I feel like that's appropriate to a large extent. This is a role-playing decision. So based on what Nira gave up, I am going to empower you, Starla, to decide what Nira does or does not remember.
Okay. Well, the place this room specifically does not look familiar, but as she's kind of looking around a little bit panicked, noting the details, she's like, this is not good. This is not, you guys, this is not good. We can't.
Why?
Oh no.
Why? Is there something wrong here?
Well, I don't. Maybe.
Look, I know that the mountain was under stress when that creature was here.
So here's the thing. My home is not what you would call a tourist destination.
Okay.
They don't do outsiders at all.
Okay, but you're not an outsider, though.
I'm not.
Yeah. I don't blend.
Yeah, it's not me. Like this is not good for you guys. Like I could maybe get away with, like, hey, I'm just here. Whatever. High elf. I'm fine. You guys are not. Like they're like you can't even like pretend. Like this.
Do you want to plane shift us somewhere else so we're not here?
Wait a minute. Why are we leaving right away? I mean, maybe there's some issue, but I'm sure we can overcome that.
I can wind walk us out of here if we need to leave or get somewhere safer.
Besides, you should probably check in with your people. It's something that I've been telling you should do for a while. Even if the rest of us have to stay at a site.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, don't you want to
Yeah,
say
we can
hello
just-
to your family or somebody?
I still need to know what shape the mountain is in if I'm going to ever try to fix anything.
I don't. It's been over 100 years since I've been here. I don't.
Well, then maybe they've changed.
All the more reason to say hello.
It could have been 100 years since we entered the abyss. You know how these things get kind of weird.
I mean, elves live a long time, right? So.
Yeah, man, it's like 2 weeks. It's nothing.
There's. I have some concerns that maybe things have not been stable, but.
Well, then maybe we can help them with that. You're not alone here.
We should heed her instinct for caution, though.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we can hide or we can disguise. Like, you guys can. I can't disguise. I'll just hide here, I guess.
I can.
You can disguise, because... Oh, never mind.
Why don't we figure it
know
out?
what they will do to you guys if they find you.
Sure.
I mean, to be honest, not that we're actually gods or anything, but if it's something lighter than the Sibriaks, I'd rather take on that particular fight. And we wouldn't hurt anybody. We just make it even.
Worst comes to worst, we go into the mansion and we hang out for a while Nira does her thing. We stay out of the way. You know, it's okay.
But if you want us to be there, we can be there.
Well, I mean, I feel like I should at least take a look. Maybe it's safe. Maybe it's fine.
Besides, there's still a contract you have to make sure it gets undone.
You know, I could change us into some cute little animals if there's, anything that's preferred here, like puppies or Almirage or... And then we could...
That wouldn't look weird, just a bunch of Almirage following me around. That wouldn't be...
Well, I mean,
Not at
it's
all.
just a suggestion.
We
It's
could-
It's been 100 years.
We
They
have
don't
an
know. Maybe
option.
that's your thing now.
That
We
could be
can-
your
show up.
posse.
Right.
we can
I-
flock casual. It doesn't have to look weird.
If you want, and this is just a suggestion, if you want, I could polymorph into you, Nira, and take a look around. I've done it before.
Ah.
I don't
That
know,
could be really funny. I really want to shapeshift into a fly and follow that. I'm all about that.
If it's been 100 years, then if you've changed a little bit,
Well, look at her. Her hair's already different.
as are her eyes and a number of other things, yes.
I don't think you should polymorph into anything right now, Kat. You look really bad. You look bad.
It's the bags under my eyes, man.
Okay, so first of all, what happened, Ket? Like, how are we here?
Oh yeah, we don't have to worry about the stolen moment anymore. I fixed it.
You
Wait.
what?
What?
Huh?
What did
Yeah,
you do?
I thought maybe we could talk about that after we figure out what's going on
After
here.
what?
Yeah,
After,
really?
you know,
that's-
there could be like golems outside the door waiting to smash
But
us.
what-
I don't know.
But what does that mean? Are we 100 years back?
It means we're gods.
Or
We
is
don't
it
know.
the same day?
Has anything changed?
Look, I don't know. All I know
Christian,
is that
Amethyst is going to ignore everything he's saying and reach out to the tree in whatever way that she's able to do that and try and figure out what's going on outside this room.
All right.
No offense, Kat.
Cat drones on in the background. Well, what really happened was
What?
Because I haven't even told Cadence and Kat that their town is safe and all of that stuff. Like,
We were there though.
so- right, but
Briefly.
yeah.
So you reach out, but the feeling that you get, I think the most apt for the player to understand is that you see someone through a window and you're calling to them, but they can't hear you, and so they don't realize you're calling to them.
okay. So
And
she
so
starts
anyway-
listening to Kat again.
And so anyway, that's how we became gods.
Well, you made a deal with Praxis and the caretaker?
What? And what's going on with these keys? What is this about? What is this for?
I don't know. All I know is I wished that the stolen moment would be put back into place, and it kind of messed everything up just for a moment. And the caretaker and grandmother Praxis gave me the option of trying to put everything right again. And here we are with these keys. And I don't know what these keys do. I swear to grandmother Praxis, I don't know.
What about the Marut? And I check Amethyst's ankle for the weird bracelet.
She's not wearing it anymore.
Is the Marut gonna come still? I mean,
I don't think so.
But
So
what
wait.
happened when the moment went back? We didn't know what was going to happen. Do you know?
What happened?
Back without any changes.
I don't know.
I mean-
Here we are. We haven't left this room. I don't know what's changed on the outside. I don't know
Mira is
anything.
going to march for the nearest door and open it.
Okay. I think what is outside of this room is that this is a large sort of banquet hall sort of place where much of it is actually open to the sky, and it's big, like the whole city kind of gathers for big occasions, that sort of thing. But you guys had been in a little private area, so the point is just you can see quite a lot when you open the door. And what you see is
Zool.
the city.
Fred?
The city, to your eyes, Nira, looks as though it's been through a battle. It's not devastated, but there is damage here and there. But the thing that really stands out to you the most is the stillness of the air, because that's never true at the top of Mount Rashama. There's always wind. But you realize that it's completely still. You look up in the sky, there's clouds, but they're not moving. Everything is still, and then you in fact look around and you spot in the distance there's some people coming down some stairs in your general direction, but they are frozen.
Oh. Okay.
That
Guys, I think we have some time.
What do you mean?
Everything is kind of stopped.
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 That's
Like
what
nobody's-
the caretaker and grandmother Praxis said.
Wait,
What,
So
what's-
like when we were in the Feywild, like everything's on hold.
No, time still
Gonna-
passed when we were in the Feywild.
Oh yeah, just really slow for everybody else.
kind of take the key out of my pocket and kind of weigh it. It's like it's for starting and stopping something. And it seems like if something's gonna be started, it would be the world.
What are you gonna put it in, though?
Yeah, is there a lock or a door? Or a chest or a puzzle or something? Is this grandmother Praxis is doing another one of her damn tests?
Amethyst moves her clothes to see if she still has the shard from the stolen moment in her left thigh.
You do not.
Ooh,
Not here. That's
It's
wait.
gone.
And I point my ass at them and I go, guys,
So,
look!
to be clear, the
Very
scar is still there, but the place where you felt the raised like bit where there was something embedded, that's gone.
Yeah. So I show them that and ask them if they still have theirs. If they can
Gone.
sense theirs.
No. I mean, I still
Guys,
have-
what does that mean? Like,
wasn't that bits of the moment itself or something like that?
yeah.
I mean, if the moment
what
is
day
gone,
is it, y'all?
Tuesday.
it's always Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Ooh, tacos.
So what if
I think-
whatever we're supposed to do is where all of this started?
That's here, though, right? Nearby?
Well, not
Oh.
exactly.
That was, I mean, would it
Under
be the
mountain,
temple?
right?
Did it look like it was the old place outside, or did it look like we're still in the same time?
I mean, clearly stuff has happened here. But
You do see a couple of people frozen here and there, but honestly, given the time of day it seems to be, you would have expected to see more people.
I gotta look at this more myself. I'm gonna poke my head out the window or the door carefully.
All right. As soon as Alaric crosses the threshold, he freezes in place, frozen.
Pull him back.
Oh,
yeah, pull him back in.
Alaric, you were about to check out, but they stopped you. They pulled you back.
Hey, I want to take a look for myself.
No, don't go out there.
No, man, you did.
I can take care
Don't
of
leap
myself.
through this doorway, please. I
You
know it's your
froze.
thing. Please wait.
I'm
I
gonna
just
were
close
want
the
like-
to take
door
a
again.
look.
You were frozen.
So
You just
Nira-
froze.
What were you doing, Nira?
I want to close the door again.
Okay.
Would there happen to be a place to insert a key, like a keyhole? No, nothing.
So what? We're just trapped here? I knew there had to be a catch.
Nira, when you opened the door to look out, you know that you briefly were sort of standing in the threshold, and you didn't freeze.
Oh, what?
Amethyst goes and picks up a key and walks to the threshold, holding it.
Mhm.
What
You
happens?
You step through, and you notice what Nira did, which is that everything's very still outside. It feels like a held breath, but you are not frozen.
I'm not frozen. Is it similar to how it felt when I reached out to the tree? Or
Yes.
so I step back in and I tell them that.
Okay.
So we need to have the keys. Maybe we need to go walking around looking for a place to earn these keys.
I mean,
If these-
obviously they grant us immunity.
mystical doorway or something.
Maybe there's more to it than that, though. You muttered something about starting and stopping, right? If
Yeah.
if
Yeah,
what Kat
the-
is saying and what Nirakina is saying and what Amethyst is saying makes any sense, God, I think I think that we might be able to start and stop things and fix them. At least I want to fix them. If I can stop, if I see a boulder falling on a person's head and I can stop time and move them out of the way, I'd want to do that. Is that what we can do? Is that the task we've been given?
Well, maybe all we need to do is hold the keys. Maybe we don't need to find a place to put them. Maybe just us holding them is enough.
But
Christiana, sorry.
I was
Sorry,
just going
Jen?
to say, but things didn't start again when you went out there with the key, though, right?
It might have to be all of us.
No.
It was just
Yeah.
you were immune to the stillness out here.
But to change anything might require more than one key, or maybe an act of will or something.
At least we know we can get to whatever place we may need to use the keys to restart things. We know that we can travel outside the door. Can Amethyst sense anything of the... There's no difference to sensing the tree when she's holding the key, right?
No, you feel as though what is happening is that sense of there's a sense of separation, like there's a barrier, like everything outside is paused, but the key and its aura is sort of permitting you to stay outside that barrier instead of being stuck with everything else.
Okay.
Do the
Well, I
keys
don't
look
think we're
any
gonna
different?
Get the answers sitting around here.
The keys all look the same.
All right. Well, we might as well each grab one of these then, just at least not to be affected by the whatever the hell.
Yeah, I'll grab one.
When you are all holding one in your hand, a little sort of sign materializes in the air that has 7 keyholes in it, and it says Master Switch.
So we have to put them all in there and turn it at the same time, I bet.
But there's 7 of them. Where's the other one? Mugen?
Maybe.
Melicanth?
Melicanth?
Well,
There were only
Or
6 keys.
Almirage?
There were
so,
only 6 keys, is that right?
Well, that's correct. There's one for each of you, but 7 keyholes.
So maybe we have to find
another
the seven.
thought that might not be so.
I'm still-
Might not be something you guys want to consider, but
Hmm.
there is one other person that was pretty closely tied to this stolen moment.
Melicanth.
Okay.
No.
Zora.
Zora.
A bad
No.
guy.
No. Not even a chance. I would rather see the world stuck than that one become a god.
I mean, there were people who were closer to it than him. I mean, Melicanth, you know.
Hell, Melicanth and Zora, they're both closer than Cat and Cadence.
Yeah.
By that
Zora
logic.
affected
He was
by the explosion
Like,
in the
he was
way that-
literally blown
I
up
was.
in it.
That's true.
He had a shard as well.
Yeah. I wonder if he's where you left him.
Well, I
You could scry,
could
can't you?
find out.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, could you scry on him?
I could, actually.
Oh, the teen angst. Is she still a teenager? Is Nira still a teenager?
She's technically been an adult.
She'll
but
always be a teenager.
Oh, I thought
She
when we
is-
started you described her as a teenager though.
She kind of,
barely more than.
yeah, she's kind of the elf equivalent of 20.
She's
Lord
a
help
baby
us.
elf.
It explains so much. Y'all.
So it would take 10 minutes.
We
but
got
I
lots of time.
Try.
Yeah. Do it.
Yeah.
Might not even take 10 minutes if 10 minutes don't actually exist.
Was there just like tea in here?
Tea? I
Weren't
mean,
we, had
maybe
like
we
a, weren't we like having tea or something?
Yeah, he said, Ket said, described it originally as a bunch of like food and stuff.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember. If there was food, then there's food.
I'm gonna go look for something stronger than tea.
All right. Where are you looking? Just here in the little
Random room. I'll wander out.
Okay.
Is there
He's
anything
going
in the
out,
bag
so
of
am I.
holding?
I need a drink.
All right.
Don't go too far.
Okay, so those of you who are in possession of one of the keys when you leave the threshold, you are able to do so without difficulty. It does feel strange outside just because, you know, the air is very still, unnaturally still. It, you know, it's especially just disorienting because it does look like a place where it doesn't make any sense for it to be still.
It's like they're all coded.
Oh, so
There's no amber.
Right.
is there at the room we were in, or there like other rooms within that little? Was it a house?
No, it was basically sort of like, you know, the you know, when a fancy restaurant and you want to rent their back room for a fancy occasion and it's sort of closed away from everything else. It's like that. So
Okay.
it's the place where you could have a private meal in this otherwise public place.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I would think go ahead and make an investigation check if you want to just look for.
Ooh, yeah, I'm gonna use the new alpha dice. Investigation. 14.
Yeah, I think that you realize that over where there is, you know, some shelves that are clearly, you know, tables set out for self-serve, there do seem to be pitchers of what looks like wine, and you notice that, you know, when you're looking at it on the table, it seems just as frozen as anything else. Like there's no ripples or anything on the surface of the liquid.
Okay. I'm trying to pick one up.
You pick it up fine, and it moves just like you'd expect.
So just outside of the room, what is the nature of the city? Are we inside, outside? Is it?
You are in basically a big open air banquet facility. Like imagine a place that, you know, people would have a fancy outdoor wedding, but, you know, elf themed.
Okay. And it's open to the sky?
Yes.
And it feels like a mountaintop, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. And there's damage.
Yeah.
Does it look like the damage has been repaired or is being repaired or is just being left?
There is some minor repairs that, you know, seem to be like in progress.
They're going to have to shore up that wall if they really wanted to stand again. We could probably do that while we're waiting. Be nice to just hammer on some stone for a while.
So before I go ahead and do this, the scrying spell does cost a focus worth at least 1,000 gold. We have a black opal in the bag of holding. I just want to clear it with y'all before I go ahead and...
Yeah.
Okay.
We're like rich now, aren't we?
No,
We're
I'm not
practically
God's eye.
gods.
Well,
No, I mean, didn't we get like a lot of loot at one point or something?
yeah, well, you
We
stole
got
a
a bunch
lot
of
of the
this-
stuff
This is
from...
not
We have a
what
lot of
has been
various
from
loot that we've never cashed
Yeah, the
in or
jewels.
distributed.
Go ahead.
This
Yeah.
isn't from the dragon's hold that were in that jewelry box. It's from
I
somewhere
have
else.
30 silver and 24 copper.
I got nothing.
So
Yeah, if you
Yeah, I got like 5 gold.
Well, you guys put a bunch of stuff in the bag of holding. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a while since I made you guys pay for anything.
I
Yeah.
did go through it the other night, though, and take a few fun things out.
But yeah, so, you know, looking out at the city there, you have lots of stone paved streets that kind of, lots of sort of switchbacks up, you know, steep slopes, you know, sort of tiered city. But then there's also lots of places where you imagine that, you know, tiers were sort of leveled out and used the material used to construct taller buildings, and there's lots of flowering trees.
I'm trying to imagine, is this the hollow of a mountain or is this on top of a mountain?
On top.
Okay.
So not like literally the summit, but, you know, up high.
You know, for elves, they don't do too bad with stone, I guess.
It's clearly very old. Like, you get the sense that the buildings that you're seeing are, you know, probably the newest of them is several hundred years old.
I'll just collect like 3 flagons of wine and bring them back in.
I'm just surveying the city from what I can see, trying to take it all in. I've never been here before.
Sure.
A lot of imagination of what it might be like.
Go ahead and make a perception check.
I choose to use my own dice. I probably should have rolled online. 21.
21's pretty good. So you definitely, you know, this is not a familiar place to you, but obviously the unnatural stillness of everything is, you know, obvious to anyone paying attention. But you certainly see that based on the size of this place, you don't see very many people out. Those you do see out are exclusively high elves. And you notice actually that the people you do see look like they are either children or older, you know, like even elderly for an elf, or perhaps infirm in some other way.
Are there any symbols or either people are wearing or on buildings of Rushama? I don't know if I remember exactly what Rushama's symbol is like, but
there are some, but you also notice some places that you think look like they might have once held a sigil that are now bare.
Bare?
Yeah, like there was something there and they took it down.
Just kind of mutter to myself then, I suppose this is sort of a formal meeting, Rushama, but this isn't exactly what I expected. If you want me to, I'll do what I can.
You have a similar sense to what Amethyst was feeling, not that like Alaric knew that necessarily, but you feel like the times that you've prayed before, it's not like you're used to having some sort of a direct spiritual feeling, but you have had a real magical power within you that you have sensed. But what you feel like right now is that you have called someone and nobody picked up the phone, and you're talking, but you get the feeling that like you're talking to an empty receiver right now.
Winces a little bit, realizing that probably the person that actually did hear him was in the other room trying to concentrate on the spell. But that's it.
All right. So you're doing that. Cadence, Ket, what are you guys doing while Nira's concentrating?
I'm just still sitting at the table, just exhausted. I mean, I'm not going anywhere.
I'm just sitting with Kat because I'm kind of worried. He looks really like run down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just kind of sitting there with him and.
What about Amethyst?
She's trying to position herself to kind of keep an eye on everybody, kind of keep line of sight on everybody as possible. That's just pretty much. She's
well,
just chilling.
Archie kind of went and then came back with wine.
Yeah. And I'll kind of set those randomly on the table and hold one for myself and start drinking.
It's really good. So, Nira, you were scrying on Zoreth, correct?
Yes. Because that will tell me, at least if he's where we left him, that will tell me the status of the stolen moment or where it was or something.
You find your awareness descending deep below your feet, down underneath the mountain, down and down and down. until you find your awareness sort of soaring through some familiar stone tunnels. But as it emerges into this enormous cavern, you find it filled with many dark elves, an enormous portal, and then a small Earth Genasi boy, looking frightened, standing there next to an older woman who seems to be focusing on the portal.
Oh man. That makes me so happy. Okay. All right. So, and I come out of it and say, okay guys, I think there's one more piece missing here that I'm not entirely certain about right now. I think the biggest question I need answered is, when are we?
What did you see?
Yeah, was he there? Was he still stuck?
So, do you remember, yes, Alaric, when we went into we had the experience with the book?
Yeah.
For Archie and Amethyst, do you remember when we did the little time travel bit and watched Melicanth use the stolen moment?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's still happening right now. It's frozen.
Wait, it's happening right now?
It's happening right now.
So
At
we
went way back.
We've gone back in time.
Well, that's the question.
Was Melicanth there?
Did I see her there? Like, it was a bunch of
your
dark
scrying
elves
was
and-
not focused on her, so you're not sure.
And
But
maybe
we need to go
Pishwish
stop
too.
the ritual.
Yeah.
Is Pishwish still going to steal it? But didn't he do that because the caretaker told him to?
So, Pishwish stole the artifact and gave it to Melicanth, who is the one who used it. Pishwish was not there when it was used, as far as we know.
But if Pishwish... Did Pishwish steal it even?
Originally.
How far back was it put back? Before Pishwish took it or when Melicanth tried to use it?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know when we are.
Well, we should
I
probably
don't
go
know
down
if
there.
it's a case of we are back 110 years ago, or if this is a case where the moment was put back in place.
Was the
in
city
our
this
current
damaged?
present.
Was the city this damaged 100 years ago?
When I left, no. But this was 110 years ago. And
Well, but you lived there 110 years ago.
but like it's not. It didn't look like this when I left. I don't remember that level of like it. It was just a city. There was nothing like it wasn't damaged, and obviously something has happened.
What is this is going to get confusing, but what is the relationship between your people and Rushama? I thought I'd see more, but it's almost as though it's been erased too.
It's been 100 years since I've been here. I don't know.
But when you were here 100 years ago, you grew up here, didn't you?
Everything is different now. And
But we don't know where we are. He's saying when you were there. What was it?
so,
What you remember when you were younger, when you became an initiate.
He's right that there are a lot of places you would expect to see, Sigildry and so on of Rushama. Just places
but
where,
I haven't left.
ritual
I've
symbols
been
are.
saying- yeah.
But you don't
But I
remember.
mean, even when you just looked outside, there are places that you sort of intuitively feel like there ought to be something there, and there isn't.
So one of the questions that I've been thinking about during this time what I know is that the only uncorrupted part of Rushama is currently residing within.
Can you?
And that part was gone for 100 years. Like, as if it... I mean, I was not here. And if I was not here, if I was nowhere, maybe Rushama wasn't either. And I don't know what that would do to my people. Like, they only know one way to live. They don't make other choices. They have their traditions, and that's all they ever do. I don't know the effect that absence would cause on them.
Is Rushama awake to you now?
I close my eyes and try to reach for that familiar otherness within myself.
You have a very odd sensation where in times before where you have felt figuratively in Rushama's presence, right, the spirit's presence, you know, there were times where you imagined yourself standing at the summit, speaking to another entity, you know, and sometimes that's kind of just a visualization, right? It's not like a hallucination where you really believe you're there necessarily, but it's kind of how you imagine it, right? Here, you find yourself climbing as though to reach the top of a ridge and be there in that presence. But when you reach the top of the ridge, what you see is that coming up from the other side is a duplicate of yourself, and you just lock eyes and then you kind of come back.
That's creepy. Oh.
What happened?
I don't know. It's not... It could just be because everything is stopped right now, and there's... I don't know. I can't...
That's all right. It's all right. We'll figure it out. Don't worry. But if that's happening now-ish down below us, and the thing about the moment, one of the things that we felt was going to possibly time is going to get really hard to describe here. But if that moment is happening now, or would be happening now if time wasn't stopped, the thing that was the threshold, the threat, was the demon lord, your ancestor, right, Autarky? And if that might happen, we should be there. We should get downstairs to see what it is in person anyway. And then if we can move people away and then clear them away from the danger, then they wouldn't be harmed, and maybe we could do something there.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do that and set it right.
I'm in.
Yeah.
It's not a quick trip.
We've got lots of time.
Yeah, and it's better than sitting around talking about how we don't know what's going on.
We can make it faster.
I mean, how do you measure that? Just probably jump off the side of the mountain. I'm sure we would be fine.
Are there a lot of trees? Because I have this weird feeling that I could just travel from tree to tree to tree.
Well, I mean,
Well,
that is
where we're going-
Yeah, me too.
Same.
Okay, all y'all plant people.
Again, I
Thank you very
can.
much.
I'm happy to cast Windwalk or Beast Shape on y'all, or
I think we've got time, and saving power might be good, because if we're facing off against this thing, or if we need to do anything else when we're there, I mean, we're going to need all the power we have.
But look at Ket. You
Yeah.
want him to walk really far.
Okay, we
and
can
maybe
carry
walk
Ket.
himself.
Well, maybe there's something that Nera can do to help him.
But if time isn't going to start anyway, then could you just
Yeah.
rest?
So can
Yeah,
Or
we,
we can,
I
we can
guess.
carry him down while he sleeps.
assess the state of Ket and if something like, I don't know, greater restoration would help him feel better?
Go ahead and make a religion
Or
check.
if a long rest would do it, then I could shapeshift into something that can carry him.
A religion check, you said?
Yeah, well, basically to assess whether you believe your magic would be helpful, right? Or if you, depending on what check you want to do, I'll tell you different information.
Yeah, because I feel like this is going to be magical in nature, so a medicine check isn't necessarily going to...
A medicine check might tell you, like, what are his physical symptoms, like, how might those be treated. But if the idea is this a magical effect that magic could treat? That's more like your...
Okay.
You know, it would be Arcana, except your magic is divine, so religion.
Right. So that is a 23.
What you sense is that there has just been an incredible expenditure of magical energy from Ket, and it has just literally sort of seeped away at his vital energies. You know, the energy that powers the soul, if that makes any sense to say. There is just an exhaustion that's resulting, and I don't mean like in the mechanical sense, I just mean he's been depleted. But you sense that he can recover, but that it really just takes time. It is not a physical exertion that, it's not of the muscles. It's
of the soul. My soul is exhausted, Nera.
So if time is stopped, then we don't really need to hurry up and get anywhere. I mean, what if we just take a couple days and relax? I mean, we're here. We can move freely as long as we have the keys. We can let Ket relax a little bit and try to recover before we throw him into a fight with a giant demon named Archie's dad or whatever.
So here's another thought. Time is frozen. And no matter what we do, until we stick these keys in those locks, it's not going anywhere.
Are we 100% sure of that?
Probably not.
That no one else can turn it on besides us?
Well, it requires all of them.
We would need the keys, yeah?
We think. Yeah.
That
I mean, that's the assumption.
That's all we have to go on. Yeah.
Right.
Have another key.
My point being, I just don't want to dawdle. We definitely need Ket to rest and recover. 100%, 110%.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get sidetracked to anything else. This is what we've devoted a lot of time, and a lot of people have suffered because of our choices, and I just think we need to not take too long.
While you guys are having this discussion, Alaric, it occurs to you that as Archie is kind of nodding along with the conversation, you realize he's drinking from a wine pitcher that he went and got from outside.
Yeah. Yeah. There's two things that occur to me. One, there are only 6 of us here. There are 7 keys. There is someone out there who still is able to move freely. It's not stopped in time. At least, I presume they are, just like we are, maybe stuck in a place for a moment. So we have to keep that in mind. Hopefully they're of a similar mindset as us and want to do good, but our luck hasn't been great. The other thing is, the world can be changed right now. Time isn't moving forward except for what we do changes this place.
That's what I'm saying.
But it means that we're not going into a fight right away. We have time
Exactly.
to explore the
Right.
city and explore the mountain and find out what's going on. And if necessary, move all those people away. We can do that while Ket rests.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We can move around. Time is moving for us. Obviously, if Archie can go get a drink and unfreeze it from
And
This is
time.
really good too. You should have some. It's
It's wine. But it does mean we have to be careful.
We always have to be careful.
We're not always that careful.
Well, some of us aren't.
Fair. But if I'm the one suggesting we should be careful, then probably has a lot more frighteningness to it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But I'm not sitting in this room for a couple of days while Ket gets better. I've
No,
got
I
to
don't
see what
think
the
so.
city is like and see what the people are like, even if I only see them from a distance or not moving.
Well, it's not at its best at the moment.
Did
It's okay. We can figure out what we need to fix.
when Alaric came back in, did he mention the thing about there only being like infirm, elderly, and children moving around?
I don't
Did
think
he
he
mention
said
that at
anything
all?
about it.
I didn't specifically mention it. No.
Okay.
Didn't
Okay.
think it.
Okay.
And besides, we should see what kind of state the city is in.
Mhm.
We can probably rig up some sort of, I don't know, chair or a stretcher for Ket if he needs it.
I think we're just walking. Will you'll be okay for that with that?
I'm going to turn into a giant turtle so that Ket can ride on my back.
I didn't think of anything faster.
So happy though.
Okay, a mammoth.
No, be a
Right.
turtle. I like the turtle.
Mammoths don't get
I
through doors
mean,
that
you
well.
can Amethyst can be whatever she wants to be, but
Come on,
I,
a cat?
Christiana, like
a
the turtle.
racing or like a racing turtle, like a racing snail. Be a racing turtle.
Cat sitting on a turtle. It's
Not a
perfect.
giant snail. Not that good.
So, Nara, pick an animal to carry Ket that's at an appropriate speed for you.
I don't know. Turtles can go pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a big turtle, it's
Yeah.
like you guys. Besides, it's not like you guys are,
We're
doing
not
time trials
running.
up and down the
Yeah.
stairs.
I know.
Oh, I'm probably.
We're
I'm
not-
a giant turtle.
All right.
All right.
Do it. I love you, turtle.
I just pat the turtle. I pat the turtle shell and fall asleep.
And the turtle.
And the turtle.
I'm a turtle. I love it.
We need fan art, listeners. We need fan art.
I was just thinking that, as a quote of the episode, "I love you, turtle" is pretty good. All right, so you guys set out. Where are you headed?
I mean, Narakina, this is your city. Can you point to where we should look? There's not a lot of people around, it seems.
What is it that you're looking for specifically?
I mean,
Are we just wandering? Because
it would be nice to know what the city, how it works, and who these people are. And
Let's just go outside. We'll take our keys and we'll go outside and we'll start walking and we'll assess some things and then we'll make a decision. And
The ranger needs to range.
yes, I need to go outside.
This is the best.
Let her free.
Oh my god.
The world is frozen, like that episode of the Loop Show. I want to go out there.
Oh goodness. It's Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
it's brick and mortar at this point. But
So let's just start
Let's
going
explore.
and we'll figure out, we'll look at some things, we'll assess the situation, see what we can see.
take us on a tour
Amethyst
of
is
your
following
hometown.
cadence.
Okay.
Come on, turtle.
Amethyst is bringing
Let's go.
Ket.
Come on, turtle.
And
guys can
Alaric
go.
and Nara can clear up what they're doing. Get their direction going. Because I'm just here to,
Turtle's
well,
got
I
a
mean,
turtle.
if you don't have a direction, I'm just following everybody else, and if they have questions,
Well, so
Answer
where
through the DM.
is it? Would you guys? What would you be looking for? Are you kind of really just aimlessly exploring, or are you trying to look for any sort of a type of a place to go? Or
I want to look at the people as we're like moving through. I not because you said that, but I would want to see like what kind of people are moving around, especially since Nira saw what she saw.
mm-hmm.
Um, and it's tied to this place. So, I mean, I would definitely want to see like who's moving through the streets right now. If we're in that time also, or if she saw a different time, or
Right.
if it all connects.
I think as you guys are passing through the, up these various sort of, switchback roads and pathways and seeing what there is to see, I think gradually, those of you with high wisdom scores are certainly also going to notice what Alaric did, which is that mostly what you're seeing is older people, children, and injured people. Or people who look, infirm in some way. And
People who aren't fit for battle.
right. And there is, not universally, but there is a general kind of haggard sense. Like these elves are very elegant, but you get a sense of weariness even in their frozen forms.
So, Christiana, I recall a comment from the spirit of Lake Elamond that had said that the elves were preparing for war. Question is, with what Nira knows of the city, where would she think troops would gather in order to, I don't know, where they would form up or whatever.
Yeah.
Would there be
You
a
do know.
separation?
Yeah, you do know that there's a big assembly area near where the like the High Council, meets, right? Like, and that would be, you would think, like, if there was going to be a big, address the assembled troops sort of place, that's probably where it would happen. If that's what you're thinking. I mean, there's not really a lot, like this is not a city that has, great big fields where you would have row after row of tents and so on. It's not that big. The number of people is not, tens of thousands, right?
Right.
So it's, you're not going to have like a huge sort of encampment necessarily. But like if mostly what you've forgotten is your the people, you would still remember that there is the sort of the council meeting place, and that there is a place there where people would gather to hear speeches or rituals, and formal things are held there.
Right.
And any battle plans would almost certainly be drawn up there.
So I'm gonna make the suggestion that just kind of subtly hurting them in a direction, because I don't know what we'll find.
While we're moving, I kind of want to keep an active eye out for any weird, like, displaced movement.
Okay.
That might suggest that there is actually somebody else here.
Go ahead and make a perception check.
Nice. 25.
You have very sharp senses, and you definitely feel like you are aided in your search by the very virtue that everything else is, stationary. And so movement of any kind would draw your attention, and you do not detect anything.
Okay.
When I look around, do I see birds stop mid-flight, that sort of thing?
Yes. Like, there's not a lot, but that sort of thing. Yeah, it's not like there's tons of birds everywhere, but you do see, trees currently leaning over as though they were swaying in the wind, but frozen. You see, petals from the blossoms on the trees frozen as they drift to the ground.
I pick up a loose stone and hurl it out away from the mountain and just see if I can watch it falling down and see if it stops.
Okay. As you hurl it out, it gradually slows as it gets more and more distant from you until it's perhaps maybe 40 feet away or so, and then it slows to a stop.
So it's a limited effect around us. Nira.
She kind of shudders a little bit as she watches you do that because it reminds her of something else.
I'm trying to remember what you did tell us about that. Did you tell us about the time stop space?
Yeah, I said that I pushed him into it.
Yeah, I don't think she described it in much detail other than to say that he was frozen in it.
That effect, what caused that effect? Do you know? Was it just something in the area, a malfunction of the space? Was there something in the area that caused it? What I'm thinking is this is the inverse of that effect. It might be connected somehow.
I think, Kat, you can actually answer that just with your sort of, vision-induced knowledge of the stolen moment. You recognize that part of what happened when the moment was stolen is because the time was removed from that space.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that had sort of a time property from being outside of that space would, it would be, radiated away as it entered in, almost like something with warmth entering a cold space would eventually freeze because it sort of boils away the heat. And so in that hole left behind where the moment was stolen, all the time had been removed from it, and that was what it was. You can in some ways think of time as almost like a fluid substance like heat.
Mm-hmm.
Do I get a cat actually?
It's all wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
The reason I'm asking is if this is an effect of the key, essentially, over a certain amount of space. For example, Otterkey could pour the wine and it didn't freeze halfway from the cup to the pitcher. That rock was not, it moved for a while. We may be able to maybe surround someone and allow them a freedom in time, and we could ask them things, or we could allow limited things to change if we needed to. It does mean that we will have to be careful when we approach what's below, because we could actually set things in motion.
Oh yeah,
there's one way to test it.
I mean, if we find somebody, we could just put a hand on their shoulder and see if that springs them to life.
Yeah.
We might start
Be
with...
careful what you pee on.
Yeah, man.
Well,
we might start with an animal or something.
Yeah, that could be terrifying for whoever we do that to. We just all pop in and then are gone again when they restore. That could be... Yeah, I'm down gently with an animal.
Can turtles talk?
I think, I'm not sure. I know that I can do spellcasting. So Amethyst is just snapping and saying, he's a snap turtle. Snap, snap, snap. And shaking her head, and then nodding towards Alaric.
I just pat the turtle shell. The turtle says no.
I feel like I know Amethyst's mind, so I'm gonna walk up to one of the are there any birds that are low enough that we could reach out and maybe try to grasp it?
Bunnies or something on the ground?
Yeah.
So hey,
Oh.
Nira, you figure they've got like squirrels or something in Fabershah?
I'm sure anything that
I'll
would
cast
live in a
Mage
tree.
Hand,
Okay.
and it's got a 30-foot range, so maybe I can reach and grab something, and also to see if the effect is still viable. 30 feet, okay.
Well, so let's say that you guys spot that there does seem to be a squirrel near the base of a tree, not too far away.
I very
So-
gently
You're
pick it
doing
up.
it with the mage hand first.
Yeah.
You pick it up.
Very carefully.
Okay. At first, as you're picking it up with the mage hand, it seems to be like you're picking up a little squirrel statue. But then after a few seconds, it's almost like it's melting, but you realize what it is it's just softening until all of a sudden the squirrel is like squirming away to try to escape from the hand. Are you even really trying to like grip it or?
No, not tightly. No.
Okay,
No,
so
in
as soon
fact,
as
that-
it's trying to get away, it will succeed then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it squirms away and then starts to bound across the ground, but then slows to stop and then freezes again.
Okay.
So we can't really move around and touch people and move them.
Wow.
Better make sure if
knowing.
anybody's mid-step or falling or anything like that, that we are not going to make them go the full distance. We have this. Yeah, we'll have to figure out how wide this is, but
Hey, Lark, you know who can do stuff like this? Gods.
so can powerful fae, so can people with magic. I'm not a god.
You're
not a
not.
god, I'm not!
I want to be a god.
Refuse.
He's like Jon Snow, y'all.
Yeah.
I don't want to be king.
The paycheck is too small, the responsibility is too big.
Yep.
I got broad shoulders, but not for that.
So have you been all kind of making your way in the general direction of the council, which, as you would expect, is at the top, right? There's a big area where it's an obvious, really fancy structure, at the highest elevation. It's clearly designed that it's going to just really catch the sun at dawn, and to sort of shine off the stone edifice that emerges up, and there's all sorts of crystal and stained glass and so on that shines up there. So if you move in that general direction, you can kind of see it from a ways away. But it also has kind of a level courtyard area in front of it.
I think
Are there
we're
any
being herded, so.
more
Yeah,
people
looks
about?
official.
Yeah, I think the density of people is a little bit more there. You do see occasionally there are people who look like maybe guards, which they're armed and in armor. But here's the thing, Nira, that was not typical in your experience to see armed guards at buildings like this.
Right.
I mean, the whole point is that it's this secret hidden city. It's not, you don't need a guard on every street corner.
I wonder if the area of effect of this thing would trigger people to animate, or if we have to actually touch them.
Well, I mean, there's only one way to find out.
Well, we didn't actually touch the squirrel. It was still some distance away.
But you
Your
touched
magic
it with
touched
your
it.
magic,
I touched it with magic, yeah.
with your god magic.
It's not god magic. I've known that trick since I was stuck in the hole.
I bet back when you were in the hole, it would have animated a squirrel.
There weren't
Okay,
any squirrels in the mine.
I'm going to stop time and go to that hole and bring you a squirrel. I think that maybe we should try to move closer and see what happens, not touch anybody.
So would I be correct to assume that maybe this is where they would also keep records?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I would imagine that there are many places within that building that Nira has never seen, because they are, privileged spaces. And I don't mean like in a class sense. I mean more like in a, position, elder or, cleric sense. And, places that Nira didn't maybe especially want to go or care much about. But, who's going to stop you now? I mean, but the thing is, you would imagine that all important organizational, administrative tasks for the city by the city's leadership would be done in that building.
Yeah, so what I would probably most be interested in is something like meeting notes, like significant happenings, because I know the council would, have someone in a secretarial function, because they love their records, write everything down. So someplace that might have like a log of all of these things.
So you make your way inside this building. It's easily done. There are times when you have to sort of like scoot around a person who's in the hallway. I would assume that you guys are trying not to touch anyone, but you discover that apparently you can get quite close without touching, and it seems to have no effect at all.
So we have to touch them.
It's like will or intent, maybe.
With our godlike powers.
So you manage to make your way to this sort of central chamber where there is a very fancy table with lots of chairs around it in a circle. It's like, it's the Council of Elrond deal. It's the big table. And on this large table, which seems to have been expertly carved and polished out of this enormous slab of marble that is enormous, like in its length and width, but is actually not a very thick slab. It's very expertly carved to look, almost like the proportions of a wooden table, but it's polished marble. So I think Alaric's instinct would be that seems really like a lot of work put into making something that's probably very fragile. But on this table, first of all, you notice that only one of the chairs around the table is occupied by an older elven woman in very fancy robes. And let's see, whoever has a wisdom score above 15 can make a perception check.
22.
Perception? Yeah. 29.
All right, well, I'm still actually going to give this to Cadence and not Nira, because what you notice, Cadence, is that you think there's a little bit of resemblance between this woman at the table and Nira. Ooh. But the elf at the table is much older. Crow's feet even for an elf, which is like, that's a lot. But she is sitting there at the table looking down over what look like maps that show routes. They're maps, but they're three-dimensional drawings of networks of tunnels.
I'm going to move over to try to look at the maps. I'm not going to touch them or her or anything, just looking over the shoulder.
Sure. The only other person in the room seems to be just sort of like an attaché or valet or servant of some kind who is sort of standing back but at the ready if called upon, that sort of thing. So you look at these tunnel maps. Alara can make an investigation check.
Is it a dwarven thing that I can?
Yeah, I think so. You're certainly more used to looking at three-dimensional maps of tunnel networks than most would be.
Well, it's
So
a
I'll
natural
give you
20 to start with. So natural 20 makes a 23. Not really investigative.
Well, natural 20 is pretty good. You don't recognize it, but you think you could follow the map. And you do recognize that there does seem to be clearly one spot on there that is marked as the entrance, although it doesn't show what would be on the surface there. It's just the entrance to the tunnel. And there is a larger region that is not, marked with the tunnels, that is indicated as like the destination location. And the tunnel map doesn't continue, as though it's sort of expected that when you get there, it would either be on a different map or that you would know where you are when you get there.
Does it look like there's landmarks of the mountain itself or some other way to locate where these are?
No,
Or
because
later?
this is clearly tunnels underneath the mountain.
Okay. And is there kind of any marks as to where troops might be or where encounters are? Or
Not exactly, but it does seem as though what the map is marking is a route to somewhere.
All right.
Or a route, or however you say it when you're using it as a noun.
So this is where they were planning to go, or where they were sending their people. Does this mean anything to you, Nirakina? Is this familiar to you?
I don't.
I don't think so, because I think that, based on our discussions, the idea that there was even anything under the mountain was really not part of what was sort of publicly known or taught.
Is Nira like leaning in over this woman's shoulder to look at this map?
Are you, Nira?
Well, I mean, unless Alaric has picked it up, then yeah, I'm leaning over the table to look at.
I lean into Kat and I'm like, dude, look at that resemblance.
I mean,
It's like it's her mom or something.
looking in the mirror.
Kind of.
I mean,
I'm sure that like for some of you, it's an element of like, oh, they're both high elves.
I mean, you think it could be? No, I don't know.
And don't look at her though, man.
Okay, I won't.
No, I mean do it. Look at her. Like look at them like while they're right next to each other.
Oh my god.
I know you're super tired.
I am, man. I mean, I'm kind of exhausted right now, man. I did a thing.
Turtle, you see it, don't you?
I love you, Turtle. Yeah, see?
Yeah,
Turtle sees it.
Turtle sees all.
She knows.
Hey, they could be sisters. Yeah.
It could be her mom.
I see
So,
it.
Yeah.
I think, Nira, you definitely
Is all of
hear
this
all of
out
that.
loud?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, it's like,
Yeah.
What are you guys even talking about right now?
I wish that you
Is
could.
that your
like,
mom?
What?
Kind of look at this woman. She seems pretty old. I don't think so.
Alaric, come here and look from this angle. Nira, don't move.
Step back and kind of.
Really?
I don't know. I mean,
Come
if
on.
you kind of squint a lot, maybe.
It
So
could
I
be
would
like her
say-
grandmother or something.
If you guys were to notice a family resemblance, the skin tone is, if it is indeed someone I'm related to, the skin tone would be a match.
it is.
Well, there's a couple of ways that we could figure this out. One is we could find a way to restore Nirkina's memory to what it should be, or we could wake her up.
Wait, I'm a god now,
No,
Mira. I restore your memories. Did it work?
I don't think waking anybody up is a good idea.
I mean, if we're going to wake anybody up, she would be the one in charge or would know the most.
Yeah, but
She would recognize you.
hostile.
Too. No, she would know you.
I mean, you could be the one waking her up, so it's not like it's a dwarf in her face.
I don't know her.
But you
But
look
maybe she
like
knows
them.
you.
How she would react.
But you look like you belong here, at least.
I'm pretty sure she knows you. I'm like 1,000% certain.
Amethyst moves over and has Ket on her back still, but she stands next to Nira in solidarity because that's all the hell she can say.
I just feel like everything that the turtle does, we need fan art of. I feel just a quick sketch of Nira standing there, kind of looking consternated and hands on hips maybe, and then the turtle standing next to her in solidarity.
And I want every scene where every other character is kind of vaguely drawn and the turtle's perfect and detailed.
Yeah. Even Ket is just like a lump of fuzz.
That's right.
No.
I mean, so think about it, guys. If she is the one in charge, she is the one that has sent troops, or at least has been instrumental in sending troops to wherever it is they're going.
Exactly. She knows the most. And she'd know the power of a valuable ally.
But she's just gonna get frozen again the minute we leave.
Doesn't mean we can't give her some hope. Doesn't mean we can't get some information.
I don't know.
I mean, the other thing is, we really should find a way to restore your memories, Nirikina. I don't know what you're afraid of or why you're resisting it, but you're the one who knows the most here, and you don't know. And it's something that we're going to need to know.
That has nothing to do with my memories. I haven't been here in 100 years.
But everything you did know, how do you know it's not relevant? You don't remember it.
The only thing I don't remember is the people, and really, what is the big deal?
Then you could tell us if this is the right person to talk to, or if there's someone better.
What's the big deal? People are everything.
It's a moot point. There's nothing we can do.
That's not true. After all, look over at Ket. We're gods, right?
See, Alaric believes in them.
Well,
I knew it was
Ket
only
has a lot of
another-
power. But so do you. And if you really wanted this, there wouldn't be anything that stood in our way.
Well, I would have to really want it then, wouldn't I?
I hope you will. But I won't press. Not now. Not yet. There will come a point where you're going to have to make that decision.
I think she already did, though.
No. I don't know what you're afraid of. But I hope you'll tell us someday.
She probably doesn't remember me.
The things you don't remember.
So it cannot be coincidence to get to back to the point. It cannot be coincidence that the thing that we have come to stop or change, that the stolen moment originally put a hold on, is occurring under the mountain through some tunnels. And we see these sent troops under the mountain through some tunnels. The odds of that, I mean, it cannot be coincidence, you guys.
But were your people at war before you left?
No.
But didn't Ket say that we're in the stolen moment? Like,
yeah, but not. Everything is jumbled and weird because the moment that was stolen 110 years ago, and this is not what this place looked like even 100 years ago. So it's like where the stolen moment was just popped into existence after 110 years, as though no time had passed in that moment, but everything else moved forward and is now stopped. It's what it feels like.
Things that were outside of the moment were brought back into it.
It's like as everything else on the outside moved forward, then the stolen moment just kind of expanded to include everything.
The pea's back in the shell.
Or the
There is no
shell
There
is
is no
in the
pea.
pea.
Yeah.
There is no P. Anyway, so yeah, this can't be coincidence.
I don't know.
don't
Coincidence
know
makes
the
some sense at all.
history. Like, as far as I knew, like I didn't even know there were dark elves under the mountain. So who even knows when that happened, when our people split? I don't know.
Maybe they knew, but they didn't tell you because it wasn't your place to know. I mean, maybe they were planning something that you had no idea was even happening because it wasn't. You were just a kid. I mean, you were young, and it didn't affect you. They were trying to protect you.
Well, and honestly, I don't know that I would have cared. It was never, all of this stuff was never anything that I wanted. Like I didn't want anything to do with this.
So, I mean, how do you know for sure that this wasn't happening right under your very nose 110 years ago? You don't.
Does that mean as we go down, are we moving back in time? Is this the
No.
most recent moment up here, and then at the bottom it's where 110 years ago was?
It was just that one singular moment that had been stopped before.
But that
Everything else
singular
outside
moment,
of it.
that singular moment changed the whole world.
So, if we change anything, like say Mira moves little tiny Zorath or anything like that, then we're basically doing the same thing. We're changing things and causing the same problem that removing the stolen moment caused.
But we're not removing the moment. We're replacing
Yeah.
it with something else. We are changing that moment, not taking it away.
And what about the tree? Is that thing not holding the universe together now?
I don't know. Amethyst said that it was. I don't know, Turtle.
Maybe it's
I wish you could talk to me, Turtle.
So I'm going to gently shift
Yep.
down to set Cat gently on the ground and then change back into Amethyst and say that,
Oh.
steadying hand on Cat, that she wasn't able to really tell anything, that it was kind of like in a bubble and I couldn't really. Is that correct, Christiana?
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, having seen everything you've seen now, you suspect that everywhere that you have ever experienced seems to be in the same kind of boat, so to speak. And so you felt like the tree is probably out there. It's just sort of on pause like everything else.
I think we have to listen to Nira. It is completely her choice whether or not she deals with her family. You have to let her decide that. And we all have concerns, but it's ultimately her choice. So let's let her have space to make that decision is really the only other thing that I want to add.
Yeah.
My only concern is the things that she knows would help us.
Could help
woman
us.
or Nira?
Well, and what if we unfreeze that woman and she gets a spell off that hurts us, hurts Nira, hurts somebody else before we can stop her? How do we know that she'll refreeze again? Sorry, Nira?
I said I don't know if she has magic or not. I couldn't tell you.
Exactly.
She does have very fancy robes.
She looks like a mage.
I mean,
or a high priest.
It's not a Sibibriax or what the hell that thing was. It's a little more manageable.
Yeah, but
we could try with someone else, someone who looks more innocuous and who might be answering a few questions.
I don't think we should.
You know what? We'll be fair, and we just put it to a vote. It's not like it would be a permanent unfreezing. So if that's what you guys want to do, if that's what the majority decides, that's what we'll do.
It's your town. It's your family. My vote is yours.
But it's everybody's world, and everybody
True.
have a say here.
Absolutely.
We need to know things. And these are the people who have those answers. If we don't go getting some information, we could make things much, much worse. We don't want to do that. We need information.
What about the rest of you?
Well, assuming we've got as much time as we need, we can head down and see what things are like down there, and don't have to disrupt anything.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Archie. I don't think we should disrupt anything. I don't think we need that information as much as we think we do. I think that we can gain a pretty good sense of what is going on by going down there and assessing the situation.
I think we'll have an idea when we get down there of some things, but we need to talk to somebody.
What if we don't? What if there is nobody to talk to?
There's a
What if
person
everybody
right here.
that knows? What if everybody that knows what's going on is down there already? We can't assume that everybody here that we just happen to roll up on is going to have the information, and we're spending a lot of time figuring this out when we could be making progress towards.
We could ask
If you're
them.
going to talk to her, then well, just about all of us got to hide.
Maybe.
I think that I don't want to sound like I'm being mean because I love that you do this, but I also get very frustrated. Like you can't have all of the answers before you make decisions. I know that that's the wise thing to do, but you will never have all of the answers.
Then how
Ever.
about this? We find someone we think we can trust. Melicanth. Or, hell, at this point, Carrot. Somebody we know who knows us. They would at least be able to tell us a few things.
I could
Because
try
we don't
and talk
even know
to
what
the
year it
queen.
is. We don't know what the state of the world is. We know nothing.
Sure.
From the evidence we've seen
What
so far,
about-
it's 110 years, 110 floors down.
One brief,
Are we on the material plane?
yes. One brief aside, Nira, that you notice while all this discussion is happening is that while you have seen other places in the city where it seems like, heraldry and so on of, the Rishama's symbol and so on had been like removed or taken down. But that does not seem to be true here in the chamber, and in particular, this elf sitting at the table does still have it on her robes. Sorry, didn't mean to cut off all conversation, just something you would have noticed as this was going on. What was there some other question someone asked? Or
I could try and talk to the queen.
Wouldn't she be frozen?
She's
We
on
don't
the
know.
plane of existence. And time works strangely there to begin with.
I don't know.
Is there any way we could reach out to Melicanth? Like, is there
Scry
any
on
way to
Melicanth?
see if she's frozen? Because, like, there's a chance that she's the seventh key holder.
Mm-hmm.
I think just as easily as Zorath could be, and I'd kind of like to know she's okay. Do we have any way to contact her?
Well,
Don't you still have that orb?
Doesn't Nira, can't she do like sending or whatever?
yes, I can.
Well, she also has that orb she used back at the at my place. The
No.
orb of scrying.
you threw it away.
No, mm-mm.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It was thrown away. That was dumb.
You threw it away while in the temple of the tree at Emerald Arboris.
Yeah.
Well, we can always go there and pick it up again. It's probably still sitting there.
Not
Well,
110 years ago. It probably is.
And it is.
Right.
It's possible Melicanth is down in that tunnel, and if she's down there and it's 110 years ago, she might not remember us.
It could be good to know if it's only this plane of existence that's frozen, but
I think it's all of them.
um,
If Amethyst,
Yeah.
like the tree was in the,
oh right.
yeah,
The tree was in the astral plane. And
yeah.
we were in the abyss when all this went sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she might be also powerful enough that this won't affect her. She's practically a god, right, Kat?
If she's the other key holder, maybe she is.
I mean,
Wait a minute. You can scry on people, but you can also scry on things, right? Could you not locate the other key?
Ah. Hey.
Maybe it depends on who's got it. I don't
Well,
know.
no, because it would be the key, not the person that you're scrying on.
Yeah, but it's a
Yeah, so you would see who's
powerful
holding it or where it
object.
is, unless. True.
Strictly speaking, the scrying spell does not help you locate things that you have not seen. Just because a key is going to look similar to the ones you have, if you haven't seen the one that's missing, you wouldn't be able to scry on it just because
But
it
they were
looks
all
like
identical,
another
right?
one.
What about locate object? Does anybody have that?
I don't have it armed, but what Christiana is saying is that it's not the same thing. It
Locate
wouldn't necessarily
object
work.
could work. Scrying is different. Locate
I
object
don't-
could work, but it only has a range of 1,000 feet.
And it only
I don't
lasts for
think I
like
have
10
armed.
minutes, doesn't it?
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm at this point willing to try everything. We can always say it doesn't work if we don't try it.
Yeah.
So
Let's
Nira's
walk
gonna
around
do
downstairs
a
and see if we
very
see
Nira
her.
thing right now, and she will kind of glance at Alaric, look at him for a minute,
It's going
blow
to
out
be
a
to
breath,
it.
and I'm gonna grab hold of that woman's arm.
She beat me to it.
All right. So, at first, when you grab the arm, it feels as though you've grabbed like a statue. Like even the clothing doesn't, rumple under your fingers. But that quickly, over the next few seconds, softens, and the woman appears to come to life around you, and suddenly jerks to look at you and screams in surprise. Ah!
That,
She's looking around at all of you, but mostly at Nira, and just... Nirakina, you've returned. She takes
that's a good sign.
your hand in both of hers and just says, I knew you would return. And then she looks at you a little confused and says, why do you look as though you don't know me? She kind of glances at the others a little bit, but mostly still at you.
Long story. But there was this dragon, and kind of maybe made a little trade. So
Amethyst turns back into a turtle.
I'm sorry, and obviously you know me, but I have no memory of you.
But you're here. You've returned. You've returned. You still have him within you. She
knew
kind of
about
reaches
that?
out and she, or he's different. Nirakina, granddaughter,
okay.
what is happening? She looks around and she's sort of becoming kind of aware for the first time that everything else around her seems to be frozen. Have I passed into the afterlife? What is this?
No. It's complicated, but this is temporary until we can figure some stuff out. And anybody wanna offer something? Basically, everything has stopped right now, except us.
Time is frozen.
Everything in the multiverse.
This is going to sound like a weird question, but what year is it?
The year you guys would think it is. DM wink. That's
Damn
what
it,
she said.
Jinxie.
100 years past.
So yeah, no, but what?
I never
So is it
established like a
110?
year system with dates, so don't worry about it.
Right.
It's
But
But
for
is
our
it like
reference, would it
100
be
the
100
present.
years in the past?
No, it is
Oh.
the present.
Okay.
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 But she's almost kind of dismissive of anything the rest of you are saying, and just still focused so much on Nira, and says, Nira, even as everything fell apart, I knew that Rushama had placed his hope in you. Before everything went so wrong, I knew it had to be for reason. I knew that you would return to us, but I don't understand what's happening now. How can you have come back but not remember us? Why are you here? What's going on?
He's under effect of a curse. We're hoping to fix
Not a
that.
curse.
It's effectively
Not a curse. It was a trade, and it was important.
and it can be undone.
Alaric, let her talk.
I need to know what happened here. Why is everything how it is? This is not. I remember the city, and it did not look like this.
Looks like you're at war.
If it were only that. Nira, the story you're asking me to tell begins before you left this place. I think I owe you an apology. There were times that I did not understand what you represented to our people. I thought, even in my faith, I could not understand why Rushama would have chosen you as his cleric. You didn't even want it. But he did. And you went away on your pilgrimage, and as far as we knew, you just vanished without a trace. So many thought that you had just abandoned us, run off to live your life elsewhere. Others thought that something horrible had happened to you and began to despair, feeling that Rushama's chosen priest had been snuffed out by the outside world, and it fed into the hostility and fear that people held of everything outside our walls. And the thing that began before was that many of us, though we kept this from public knowledge, had begun to suspect that Rushama was not as strong as he once was. And we began to fear that he was being weakened, corrupted even, by the lack of faith, the hostility, the anger, the rigidity. Our rituals didn't seem to be working. Rushama answered prayers more and more seldom, and then chose a priest who didn't want it, who then left and was never heard from again, so we thought. And then it got worse after you left. Soon, prayers were not answered at all. earthquakes started to happen, and there were rumblings that all of this was the fault of the Dark Elves once long banished.
Yeah, about that. I'm not sure how much of that I need to know right this minute, but why is that why is this something that I would not have known about? Why would you keep that knowledge from the people?
That was the decision made. When they were sent away, it was because there was fear that their ways, so different from what we believed, would weaken the faith and corrupt our people, and that the only way to protect ourselves from that influence was to strike all knowledge from the people, to simply forget they ever were there, except in the minds of select few whose faith was strong enough to bear it. And none of them had come to the surface in centuries. But there were those who knew, who began to share that, because they believed that the tragedies we were seeing were their fault. And then the calamity came. A horrific and powerful spirit of death and darkness appeared above the mountain.
Start glaring at Alaric right now.
Damaged so much. People fled and hid. And those of us who still believed in Rishama drew on his power to guide and shield as many as we could. But even as we did so, we realized to our horror that we were depleting the last remaining strength of the spirit of Mount Rishama. And when the strange spirit disappeared, there was nothing left. And at that point, it would be hard to convince any who believed it that the Dark Elves were not responsible. An army was formed to seek vengeance. But I was one of the last to feel the spirit of Rishama. And his last message to me was to wait for you.
That's a lot. So, it's all very, very strange.
She raises a hand to kind of, like, as though to touch your cheek, but hesitates short of actually touching you, kind of looking for, like, are you willing, or are you pulling away, or...
And it's just kind of... I mean, obviously this person is related to me. She has just told me a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not pulling away, but I'm not, like, leaning into it.
Okay. She senses that this is not necessarily welcome and does not touch you. She withdraws and just says, I maintained faith that you would return. When so many, including, I'm sorry to tell you, both your parents, believed you dead or lost. But I don't understand what's happening now. You've returned, but don't know me. You don't seem to know the story. I thought that you were coming to save us.
Well, that's the plan, but we need information first. So this is a lot bigger than some scuffle between the dark elves and the high elves. It's bigger than Rushame, even. There was an issue of stability in all of time and space. And well, we're trying to fix it.
She nods, and she's kind of got a sad but resigned expression, and she says, "Then I will move past my own feelings of sorrow that you do not remember me, and simply do what I must as a priestess of Rishama, and ask you, how can I help?"
Well, so guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for what you're feeling. I'm sorry for that. My friends here, we have all been working tirelessly to fix this. And if you trust me, then please trust them as well.
I confess that I was certainly startled by all of you, but I was told by my guiding spirit to expect salvation in the form of my granddaughter, and if she comes with strange company, then I accept that as part of the spirit's plan.
Well,
That's very reassuring.
this is Otter Key, and then Cadence of the Water, and Cat of the Sands, Alark Copperbeard, and Amethyst.
She's the turtle.
Did she change back?
She turned back into a turtle when the conversation got awkward.
Yeah, I'm sitting on her shell, just patting her. Yeah,
She doesn't always look like that. It's a whole thing, but I don't know where to start. Where are they? They're headed for the Dark Elves. How big is the force that you sent?
Everyone who could fight. Save a few bare scraps left behind, whoever couldn't travel. A few left behind that I was able to persuade so as to not leave the city entirely unguarded. But many felt that this was the end, that they were going off on a fight to the end times, that there would be no coming back.
We can turn the tide of that battle.
There should be no battle. It's not their fault.
Is
I
there
had nothing to do with it.
is there any way? Well, that's not
It was that damned spirit.
Nira?
That's another issue entirely.
It broke them.
So the thing is,
The whole,
the Dark
Demon
Elves were
Day.
doing something, and someone else stopped them by doing something they should not have done, and
What?
now
Wait,
we're all paying for it.
what did happen? A century ago. You said that something came, but it was stopped.
I think she's talking about more recently than that, Lark.
This spirit of
Shadows.
darkness and death was only a week or so ago.
So there was nothing a while ago.
There had been uncertainty and strange extraplanar energies and earthquakes and ominous signs for many years before that, but that was the end as far as many in the city were concerned.
I wish I could undo that. But I will work to build what I cannot undo.
So, is there a way that the forces that you've sent could be diverted to another purpose?
What purpose would that be?
Well, 110 years ago, something was disrupted. And displaced in time. I guess is the short answer. So if that particular... we don't know entirely what's going to happen and what we'll be able to prevent between the six of us. And it would be nice if there were a secondary force available at our back to help with what's coming if we can't stop it.
Well, Nira, if you remember anything of our people, you know that we have many skilled fighters, but most of them believed that they were forever leaving their home in order to fight those who had killed their spirit. It will likely be difficult to persuade them of any other task.
What if they were to see their spirit return? Proof that it was not killed.
Looks to Nira and says, is that possible?
Rushama is still with me, but I believe in the time that we've spent together, he's not the same exactly. It's hard to explain.
But faith in Rushama is growing.
Nira,
Small steps.
I have come to some wisdom in the years since you left. Our people considered change to be anathema. Rituals were done the same way, generation after generation. The Dark Elves, so many years ago, were expelled for refusing to continue these traditions. feeling that things must be done that way because it is the only right way. But what I have seen since is that left our people fragile and unable to cope with the changes that came to us. An eggshell may be strong, but once cracked, the pressure just creates more and more cracks. If Rushama sent his essence off with an unlikely cleric such as you, I can only have faith that he did so for a reason.
Since I've been gone, a lot has changed, and I think that you might be right. It's hard to read his intentions sometimes, but...
She gives you kind of a knowing nod, but like there's like a tear coming down her eyes. She just says, "It has been a hard week."
I'm sorry for what you've suffered.
But you're here. Can something be done?
Yes. And it will be.
Kind of look around at everybody. Well, what are we gonna do, guys?
Stop the ritual. Stop the war. Start time. Not necessarily in that order.
I like that order.
I only followed some of that, but I like that you all seem in agreement.
When it is done, we will rebuild. Dwarves know a lot about stone. And when stone cracks, you repair it. And when it can no longer be repaired, you find another stone, and you build again. Always building.
Perhaps we will build this time in a fashion more able to adapt when the world comes to our door.
I suspect there will be changes. And he reaches into his shirt and pulls out the amulet that Nirikina gave him that he keeps too close to his heart.
Just like, oh no.
I have faith in the future.
Then I do too. That maybe is a good place to end the episode.
Don't know if I should have done that, but whatever.
If you weren't going to do it, I definitely was.
It's done now.
All right, so I think we're going to leave it there for tonight. But good job, you guys. You know, you've got a little more information. You've got some new bullet points on your to-do list. And we'll find out how that goes when we return next week for more adventure on so many levels.
So many levels.
Good night, everybody.